Squad 7, move out!
Almost 10 years ago, SEGA released Valkyria Chronicles, a tactical role-playing game that instantly won the hearts of many gamers. Despite all the love, it never became a huge success in Europe and the States. Thanks to continued Japanese success, however, the series has spawned sequels, remasters, and spin-offs. And we want to turn the tide for the Valkyria Chronicles series. We want to make sure they will win their war here in the West. That's why we want to tell you 10 things you need to know about this amazing series. Valkyria Chronicles was released in 2008 on the PlayStation 3. After this initial release, none of the major sequels hit a home console ever again, but more about that later. Valkyria Chronicles instantly found a big following in Japan and a smaller one in Europe and the States. In 2010, a sequel was launched, but it was for the PSP, which was a major letdown for many. Valkyria Chronicles 3 was a Japan-only PSP game, while the States and Europe got a PC port and a PS4 remaster in the years after. Its popularity in Japan spawned a rather entertaining anime series and 3 manga comics, and this is the point where we are now. While soon the Valkyria Chronicles universe will be expanded with Valkyria Revolution, but more about that later. Maybe you've already noticed by now that this game is visually very appealing. Every aspect of its design looks beautiful. It looks like every line has been hand-drawn with a pencil. This stunning design choice also makes this almost 10-year-old game still look very relevant today. Where many games don't stand the test of time because of new technology, Valkyria Chronicles still is jaw-dropping gorgeous. And of course, the PS4 remaster makes things look even better. Even though Valkyria Chronicles has all the looks of a Japanese role-playing game, it's actually more of a strategy game. The game features turn-based battles in which you move your soldiers around the field while hiding from the enemy. You can compare it a bit with XCOM. How you move your squad and who you have in your team can turn out to be very important. So, some characters are better at close combat, while others are snipers. And of course, there are support characters as well, so moving strategically as a team is very important and, above all, very fun.
Thank you.
And sure, even though the combat is very focused on strategy, many underlying mechanics come from the RPG genre. The role-playing part of the game is particularly strong in between battles when you can level up your soldiers, train them, buy items, or upgrade your tank. It's here where you build your party, level them up, and select the right people for the next mission. Some characters won't work well with each other on the battlefield. This might result in lower statistics during a fight, so make sure you keep your eyes on those social relationships. The RPG mechanics are light, but really serve a purpose, so you don't have to worry too much about JRPG mechanics within Valkyria Chronicles. Combat is obviously a very important part of this game. It combines turn-based strategy with third-person shooter gameplay. The Blitz system is used during combat scenarios where the action is split between an overhead command mode and a third-person action mode. You need to select units and spend command points to activate them. Each character has action points which can be spent on moving around or performing actions.
I won't let you ruin this outfit!
When enemies see you, they will shoot. And when you shoot, you actually need to aim. All this makes combat very engaging while it's still quite a relaxed experience.
Yes!
The story of Valkyria Chronicles is set in 1936 in an alternative version of Europe. Many of the names given to cities and villages in the games actually exist. Basically, it's a war about resources between the Atlantic Federation in the west and the Imperial Alliance in the east. Valkyria Chronicles 2 is set in the civil war that follows this war, while Valkyria Chronicles 3 tells a different story during the same time as the first game.
戦場という絶望の中で彼らが見た希望とは何だったのでしょうか
But this series isn't always serious. The characters can suddenly talk about cheesy stuff, like their favorite food, and there's a story-driven romance between some characters as well. For that point of view, it's a typical anime story.
そこのあなた
作戦終了早くコーネリア姫をお救いするんだ
Like many Japanese games, Valkyria Chronicles offers scores for the missions you do. And of course, you can try to perfect them. It's a bit more interesting to just finish the game and restart the story on the New Game Plus. The replayability of this game is all hidden in its gameplay, but not in its story. You will experience the same story, but just need to put in more effort to win battles. Whether this is something you want is all up to you, but the game mechanics of this game are fun enough to give that New Game Plus a try. Perhaps not immediately, but maybe sometime later.
悲願の今回の功績をたたえ広告勲功
It doesn't really matter which PlayStation gaming system you own because each of them has at least one game in the Valkyria series. It all started on the PlayStation 3, and that game is also available on a PS4 and a PC. The second and third game in the series have been released for the PSP but can also be downloaded to the PS Vita.
Moving out.
No matter the platform, there's always a Valkyria Chronicles ready to be played. Valkyria Chronicles 2 is a sequel, but has a lot more focus on comedy. This makes the game feel like worlds apart from the more serious first game. Instead of being about a militia, the game is set around an academy filled with teenagers. Thankfully, Valkyria Chronicles 3 is more like the original. The portable versions feel a lot like the PS3 game, but on a smaller screen and with lower quality graphics, of course. Both Valkyria Chronicles 2 and 3 reuse battle maps all the time, which is a bit of a disappointment, but that's a result of launching the game on the PSP. We highly recommend you getting Valkyria Chronicles on Steam or for your PS4. That way you get the best game in the series, and after that you can always try out both PSP games.
Fire!
And that brings us to the elephant in the room. Valkyria Chronicles has a spin-off called Valkyria Revolution. This strategy role-playing game is much more fantasy-oriented. The game is available on both the PS4 and the Vita and looks nothing like the games we have been talking about in this video. No pencil graphics, no civil wars, but a take on the Industrial Revolution, where countries battle for independence. It's still a very human story about war, but combat is now real-time. It's a fast-paced game which is quite the departure from the turn-based combat of the VC trilogy. We hope to have made you a bit more excited about the Valkyria Chronicles series. You can find this game quite easily on eBay, Steam, PlayStation Store, and the remaster of the first game is also available for the PS4. Let us know about your experiences with this series and if we've convinced you to check things out. We would like to hear that from you as well.